One lottery ticket makes a big difference for our state students. And when I say big, I mean bigger than jackpot big. Since 2002, South Carolina students have benefited from more than $6 billion in lottery-funded scholarships and grants, including the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. With every lottery play, you're supporting our students, and that adds up in a big way. That's why education is our middle name. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Ever wondered what it feels like to be a gladiator, facing a roaring crowd and potential death in the Colosseum? Find out on the Ancients podcast from History Hit. Twice a week, join me, Tristan Hughes, as I hear exciting new research about people living thousands of years ago, from the Babylonians to the Celts to the Romans, and visit the ancient sites which reveal who and just how amazing our distant ancestors were. That's the Ancients from History Hit.
Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barreiro's Top 5 at 5.
Looks like at the Wolves game last night, Rudy Gobert had a couple of guests, including former Vikings quarterback Tommy Kramer. Just see, he tweeted out a nice picture of Rudy with Tommy wearing a Vikings Letterman's jersey, and another individual who I do not know, I'm assuming might be a friend of Tommy's. Rudy's still out. Wolves got the victory last night eventually, struggling perhaps more than they should have. But, Tommy Kramer hanging out with Rudy Gobert, still trying to recover from that back issue. Where would you like to begin the top 5?
I saw Sam Darnold on TV last night.
Oh, is that right?
He was at the arena golf thing that I love with Josh Allen.
Oh, interesting.
So
was he wearing
a bunch of people.
A ball cap of any particular team? Was there any sort of hint?
Nothing.
Nothing about his future. Okay.
Let's start with do I tempt fate? And just because you were just talking about the Wolves, do I start there, or do I tempt fate and risk a mean text from Kevin Fulton? We'll start with the Wolves because you already mentioned them. They beat the 76ers relatively handily, 126-112, Ant 18 points. Naz Reid, 23 points, though, led the team. It's a weird game against a 21-40 team, but a good win for the Wolves at home.
It took longer. Excuse me. Now I'm on iHeartRadio here. Somehow on my phone. Let me turn that off.
New and improved this year.
Distracting. It took longer than it should because Philly had so many people out, including not only Joel Embiid but Maxey, their number one scorer. It shouldn't. I mean, it was a 3-point game going into the fourth quarter, but I stand by the fact that I said it was going to be loser-proof, and ultimately it was loser-proof. They were not going to lose that game last night, despite what they have tended to do to play down to opposing teams. And you could say, well, sure, looked like they did for a while, but my feeling all along was some games it's not going to matter eventually. And in this case, they did pull away, big fourth quarter. And tonight, they have a built-in excuse because they didn't land in Charlotte till 4 a.m. They had difficulty getting out because of the storm. And we're already hearing about how this is our 5th time zone in 7 days or whatever. I didn't even remember what the analytic was. Just go to Charlotte and do what you're supposed to do. Continue to take care of business during a course of the schedule in which it's inviting. And, to a certain extent, you've earned it because you've had a tougher schedule than most of the other teams you're fighting with. So now take advantage of it. And this would be, I guess you could say in this part of the schedule, we are so far 2-1, right? Because we lost a game in Utah that we should have beaten. That was the game that Edwards missed because of the suspension. And then we took care of business ultimately in Phoenix. And then we took care of business eventually last night against the Sixers. So you're 2-1 in the stretch of the schedule we all looked at and said, you better go on a big winning streak because that's going to be your best chance to move up in the standings. Eventually, there will be some tougher games down the stretch, but we're in the period right now where it is very inviting for the Wolves.
They play the Hornets tonight at 6. That'll be on the Timberwolves channel and the iHeart app. The Hornets are 14-46. Even if it's a scheduled loss, that's a bad team. So anyways,
that's correct.
We'll move on to here.
Time now for the obligatory Kevin Fallness Minnesota Wild mention.
The Wild run Seattle last night and got a big win.
Draw to the right of Gustafson. Hartman leans in. He wanted to the boards, grabbing it right, stashed it in front, knocked away by Gustafson. That's going to do it. The Minnesota Wild hang on. And I mean hang on for the 2 points here tonight in Seattle. Their 5th straight win in the all-time season series in this building as they sneak out of Climate Pledge Arena with a 4-3 win. 2 more crucial points picked up by the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, at this point, you can get 2 points. You take it. But when you get outshot 36-20, and you're up at 1 point, 4-1, you got out of there, and you get out of there like you stole it. Another good performance in nets. I really don't have any complaints. They made it closer than needed to be and kind of took their foot off the gas. Another power play goal given up, which you hate. But 2 points is 2 points, and as long as Kaprizov and Eriksson are out, I'll take any points by any means necessary.
How did the new guy Grover Norquist do? No, not Grover Norquist. That's a big-time political activist, is Grover. Nyquist is our newest acquisition, correct?
Yeah.
What's his first name?
Gustav.
Gustav Nyquist. Did he make his presence felt last night?
He didn't get on the score sheet. He was -1, so on the plus-minus.
All right.
He was there. He's there to just be a solid, don't screw it up too badly guy.
Did we successfully kill any penalties? Because that's been an issue, right? We need to improve there dramatically. Did we give up any power plays last night?
There was one power play goal, and what I'm looking at is the Kraken only had 2 minutes of penalty time. Now they did. The Wild had 4 penalty minutes, so 50-50, boy. But they're still not very good at killing off penalties. Let's go here.
When do we play next?
Friday.
Friday night?
Friday in Vancouver.
That's right. Yeah, Louis doing the TV on that one, too.
Yeah, short little jaunts across the border.
Yeah, the Guardsy idea is if you are suffering from Louis withdrawal, the state high school hockey tournament TV coverage, just occasionally switch over to Wild Vancouver, and at least you can hear his voice. He might not be talking about the state high school hockey tournament, but he will be talking during the tournament, one could say. It's not a bad idea, although that's a later game. Well, no, but the high school hockey goes well into the night on Friday night, does it not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've got Friday night, you've got a AA matchup, whoever it may be.
Correct.
So, border battle tonight at the barn against what I've got is number 12 Wisconsin, either number 11 or 12, whatever you look at. 7:30 tips, 7 o'clock pregame right here on the Fan. That's why the Wolves are on the iHeart app. Not a whole lot to play for your Gophers, but anytime the Badgers come to town, it's a big game.
It's a big game. Wisconsin's having a very good season. The Gophers continue to be a much better road team in the Big Ten and a horrific team at home. I mean, that's what's plagued them. Wow. They've lost to the 3 worst teams in the conference here, which is part of the reason they haven't been able to sustain their success. Their record is better than it looked like it was going to be when they started 0-6, obviously. But the Gophers are kind of stuck in the middle, which means they'll make the Big Ten tournament, but it might not go much further than that.
Here's some news that I am disappointed about because I would have liked to seen him in green and gold. Max Crosby, are you familiar with him?
I am.
Has agreed to a 3-year, $106.5 million contract extension with the Raiders that makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history.
Wow. You thought you had a shot at him?
I don't know if I had a shot. Well, Josh Jacobs was there.
Yeah,
maybe he convinces him to come.
Yeah.
But it's not that we had a shot.
Well, what's interesting,
I would have liked it.
Yeah, what's interesting there is it's the old, you assume sometimes players of that quality, maybe they get tired of the losing and they're going to want to go someplace else.
You'd think.
But he seems pretty heavily committed, does he not? It's
a lot of money to lose.
That's also very, very true, Davey. It is also worth noting, if you care about the division, the Chicago Bears made a couple of interesting moves in the last 24 to 48 hours. Their offensive line is even worse than the Vikings' offensive line. That's not even fair. Vikings' offensive line isn't awful, but the interior part, I think, did get exposed. And speaking of that, that's part of where the the Bears, certainly in theory, got better. They added your guy, Joe Thuney, from the Kansas City Chiefs. They added 2 guards in back-to-back days. Thuney and Jonah Jackson. Jackson from the Rams. Thuney from the Chiefs. And, in Thuney's case, the Kansas City is saving some money. They're franchising their other All-Pro guard. Thuney has been an All-Pro guard for the Kansas City Chiefs. So for the Bears, desperately in need of giving the young quarterback a better chance to not get killed under the new head coach. Those are significant moves, I think. And you know me, I'm on record. This isn't new. This has nothing to do with Bears cheerleading. I so much believe in making improvements and in concentrating on the offensive and defensive lines over and almost to the point where I don't care about skill players. And I know skill players matter, but I just don't think you can overspend. You can spend too much time devoting significant resources to the offensive line and the defensive line. And I think that's the smart move by the Bears. They're saying skill is one thing, but if we don't protect, if we don't run block, and if we don't pass block, none of the rest of the fancy stuff, even with Ben Johnson as the new head coach, is going to matter. So if you pay attention to things in the division, the Bears have clearly improved in 24 hours. They significantly improved the interior part of their offensive line.
I got one more for you if you want to talk about individual or potentially in-division stuff, because Seattle wide receiver DK Metcalf has officially requested a trade away from Seattle and prefers to be dealt to a contending team, says Adam Schefter. Step on up, Green Bay Packers, please and thank you.
Yeah, well, he's bitter, is he not? That didn't they release, was it Lockett? They released another receiver. And I think he got bitter about that, too. That's part of the story. Real quick, and surprisingly, because Fallness can be very disappointed in you.
I said it.
The 1A games, you didn't give us the scores. 1A
the
playoffs.
1A games?
Yeah, the quarterfinals today started with St. Cloud Cathedral beating Matamidi 3-0. Orono destroying Northfield 8-2. That was the 1 o'clock game. Tonight, you've got 8-seed Laverne versus the top seed Hibbing Chisholm.
Heck of a hockey game, the second of 2 great games here at the X thus far.
There it is. And at 8 o'clock tonight, Northern Lakes, the 5 seed takes on East Grand Forks. Double A stuff tomorrow. And it will be bittersweet for us because for the first time in forever, we will not have Louie on to preview. Oh. Well, actually, tomorrow would be to talk between sessions, right? After the afternoon games, before the night games, we'd have him on every Thursday and Friday of the state high school hockey tournament. That ain't going to work because Louie is not here for those games. So it will feel very, very different the next couple of days. We will, though, continue to play Into the Ground, the Halby moment.
Hermantown.
That goes back, Guardsy thinks now 10 years. That has become part of the ongoing bit and tradition here on this program. Every time we hit the state high school hockey tournament.
Heck of a hockey game, the second of 2 great games here.
Can you argue it? I don't think you can.
Hermantown.
Right. Is that 5?
That's 5.
That's close enough. We will, for the second time today, reveal our name, the committee's name for the Snownomi just wrapped up overnight and into this morning. I think it's only the second Snownomi we have named in what's been a pretty snow-deprived winter season. So we will, for those just joining now, we will pass that along to you, and then we will prepare for the hookah master himself, Pat Kessler, at 5:30.
Hermantown.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The Fan.
It's tourney time, and you can watch all the state championship action on 45 TV or by downloading the KSTP app on your smart TV. Head over our contest page for your chance to win all sessions tickets for this week's boys hockey tournament to catch all the action in person.
Hermantown.
KFAN.com, keyword contest center.
Lots to get to with Pat Kessler. He will be in studio beginning in about 10-15 minutes. If you have questions for him, you can hit the inbox, the text line, KFAN text line, sponsored by our good friends at Bradshaw and Bryant, at 646-86. I have a couple leftover emails getting to the barn-dominium controversy, which might be elucidating as well. But without further ado... Brilliantly played once again. If you did not listen to yesterday's show, you might be confused, but if you've listened to this show before, maybe not so much. We have spent an inordinate amount of time on the potato cake over the years, in part because Arby's has tended to take it away and then for a short period of time bring it back, and then they take it away again, and they've largely taken it away in recent years, much to the chagrin of the host of this program, and even Guardsy, who is a big potato cake guy. I think it's a very unique fast food item that's pretty rare. I don't think anybody else makes a potato cake that I'm aware of. Some places have tater tots, which of course are similar, you could say, in principle. The beauty of the cake is it's a bigger, it's just one big piece. Although I learned yesterday that now with Arby's, you can order, back in the day, if you said I want an order of potato cakes, you would get two in the order. Well, now apparently you can get two, you can get three, you can get four, which seems like an awful lot of cakes for me, because my problem is if I have that many, I'm going to eat them all. And that's part of the reason I would only order one order, because I know if I supersized the order, I'd end up, that's too much potato. And then I got a bucket in my gut. And then I feel guilty. So I have my limits. But that's the impetus of naming this Snow-Nami potato cake. There's been a lot of discussion about it. We got a lot of reaction yesterday from people who also seemingly enjoy that particular item. And now allegedly it's back at Arby's, and they're saying in this case it is indeed back for good. I have over the years thought it's not all that popular. Most people like French fries, right? That's going to be their go-to potato most of the time. And then there's different, obviously there's waffle fries, there's curly fries, there's a number of different variations of the fry. So I just assumed part of the reason the potato cake came and went was it wasn't all that popular. But they've obviously decided it's popular enough to bring it back and indeed to keep it. So that's what we're looking at, I guess. Thank God. I think all's right with the world as far as we're concerned, given the, again, I would say the underrated nature of what the cake, the potato cake, at its best, it has to be at its crispiest, indeed represents. All of those things, I think, are very, very important. One grim story that I'd meant to get to earlier. Let me see if I can find the details on this thing. This is, I guess this falls under the classification of, oh my God, it's that kind of story. And in this case, it comes out of People Magazine, people.com. And I don't ordinarily think of People covering this sort of story, but maybe they do more than I thought. And it's possible some of our listeners might have some other details on this thing, because it's brutal. 9 bodies believed to have been missing students were found dismembered on a highway in Mexico, according to local reports. The remains of 4 women and 5 men from I'm not pronouncing it right, Tlaxcala, Mexico, were found on the evening of Sunday, March 2. in the municipality of San Jose, Miahuatlan, state of Puebla, according to reports from media outlets there. Mexico's National Guard did not immediately respond to people's request for comment. So far, I cannot offer information. There are lines of investigation, but I cannot reveal them due to confidentiality. Some of the victims have not been named. Only 2 of the bodies could be identified via their ID cards, including a 29-year-old woman who was reported missing on February 28th, and another 21 years old reported missing on that same day. There's another individual who was previously identified by the Attorney General. She'd been traveling in a Ford Fiesta with a Yucatan license plate with another individual named Brenda Mariel Salas Moya, who also had been reported missing but was later found alive in Puebla. There was apparently one of the vehicles, an abandoned dark gray Volkswagen Vento car, where the deceased individuals were discovered, found on the highway near San Jose, Puebla. And they name a couple of other individuals as well. My daughter disappeared last night on a beach in Huatluco. They took her, and until now we know nothing about my daughter. The mother reportedly wrote, she wrote that her daughter had 2 young children, ages 5 and 3, waiting for her. 4 of the bodies were reportedly found in the vehicle's trunk, and a bloodied tarp was discovered inside the Volkswagen Vento, along with 5 more bodies. Officials also reportedly recovered a bag with 8 pairs of hands. Now, we know these stories, come out of Mexico from time to time. Some of them more graphic than others. It's just so disturbing on so many levels. I have a number of questions about them, but in this case, absolutely worst case scenario, it sounds like, involving a number of missing students, which has become a chronic sort of ongoing difficulty in parts of Mexico, to the point where some individuals who like to vacation there just stay on the grounds of whatever, hotel or resort they're staying at, that there's a fear of that there's relative safety there, because a lot of these hotels, I think, for obvious reasons, given these kinds of stories, to encourage people to continue to come to see them, they make a point of saying, of beefing up their own security, and individuals then have to feel like they are almost forced, if they want to be safe, to stay on the grounds. Just a grisly, absolutely awful story. Let's get to Kessler. If you have questions for him about a pretty interesting last night on Capitol Hill, the president speaking to Congress, thoughts on that, questions for him, and then there's, I know, some stories within the great state of Minnesota that we will discuss with him as well. Maybe we'll find out if he is pro or anti the barndominium craze. 64686 is the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line number, 64686. You could also hit the talkback line as well, KFAN.com or iHeart app, and then you just look for the microphone, click on the mic, and you have up to 30 seconds to make whatever point that you might indeed make. Back with Special K in just a minute.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
I wish the American media would take a great look at the views of the people in Congress and find out, are they pro-America or anti-America?
Pat Kessler.
Because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
I can't trust Obama. He's an Arab.
Pat Kessler.
Tear down this wall.
I did nothing wrong at the Minneapolis airport.
Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy.
Pat Kessler.
And now, to help Dan break down all the tough questions in politics, it's our own
Pat Kessler.
political wonk,
I feel like a supermodel, except like times 10.
It's Channel 4's Pat Kessler with Dan Barreiro on the Fan.
I don't know how long Kessler's been in this business. I think it's the better part of a half a century. And you still don't apparently know how to handle a headset.
I'm not ready. God!
Now you're going to sue the company because you pinched your thumb trying to put to put the headset on. How did that happen?
No, it's that fleshy part of your hand in between the thumb and the forefinger.
That little web in there. Yeah.
And it's there was no way to undo it except rip it off.
Rip it off, and now you're bleeding.
Oh my! You want me to get you something?
You need a Band-Aid or anything? You need some gauze?
Get me the dude.
Can I see it?
That dude is... no, you can't.
Oh, okay. It's not there?
He's kind of a gawker. Yeah, he's one of those guys who likes to,
I need a shot of tequila.
Do you know what we do have
from a tequila bar at a Garage Mahal.
We're going to talk about the Garage Mahal concept,
okay,
whether you believe in it.
Sorry.
But, this should make you feel better at your advanced age. Mm-hmm. We have, and you walk right by it, it's in the food room area.
Huh?
We got the clappers here. In other words, there's a box that you can be opened if somebody is suffering some sort of a heart episode. And allegedly the instructions are very
simple.
Very simple. And you open that thing up, you follow it, and then you do, I guess, the old clear, and then you attach the clappers, and we revive Pat Kessler.
Okay.
Think about it.
All right, so when you said, this is showing my age, but when you said clapper,
right.
I thought you meant clap on, clap
on,
clapper.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about these are life-saving clappers.
Yeah, so I remember when the legislature allowed sort of opened the door so that people could have these things.
Yeah.
Because before that, you had to have, like, the paramedics show up.
They had to, there's like a union thing.
And, they're the only ones who know how to use it.
Right.
And you put the
gel on?
Gel on.
Yeah.
Clear. Boom.
Yeah. Well, I think it's an expensive item.
Good. Yeah.
I don't think it was, but I know how proud they were when they put it in. It is a nice feature if you can have it in the building.
Next to the Band-Aid first aid
pretty
kit.
much, it's all there. Did you ever buy the other clapper? The one that if you clap,
but
the
now
lights would go on or off. Do they still exist? I assume they do.
They must, but you can do it with your voice now. Alexa, turn off the light.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Do you have all that stuff,
I don't.
Connected? I don't. Everybody says it's very easy to do it.
I just figured out how to turn on my flashlight on my iPhone with a voice command.
Took a while, but you're there.
Yes.
You're catching up. Might take another 5 years.
Turn on video, when I'm approaching something on the highway.
Sure.
I'm thinking I'm going to get a road rage incident, and so I turn it on,
Yeah, you got to be careful. Oh, you do, just in case.
Yes.
Then you erase that stuff later, I assume, because that's taking up a lot of valuable bandwidth and space and memory.
I got so much. How many photos do you have?
I have
100.
Well, it's worse than that. Do you know how many? Do you want to know how many emails I have on my Yahoo account?
I do. I absolutely.
Let me look it up right now.
I absolutely do.
It's embarrassing.
Well, I will tell you. I'm not trying to outdo you before you tell me what it is. But when I went back to work at WCCO last fall,
right.
I don't pay attention to my account there very often. 22,000 emails.
That's single A ball. I have right now on Yahoo 317,513 emails.
How many of them have to do with your expiring auto warranty?
Probably most of them. And
come on!
What I don't know how to do, here's what happens. I get so intimidated by that number that I don't know where to begin. So what I do is nothing. I just kind of I put it because I'm going, well, there's no way I can delete them all at one time, right? That's going to take 5 years.
Well, are you worried that there might be something personal in there?
No, I'm not worried about. Well, there probably is.
But
so
you don't want to do delete all.
Well, you can, because if you do delete all
and then just close it and then go to bed.
Do the ones you have like archived? There's different categories where you can do under bills or archive that you can separate. Mm-hmm. If you hit delete all in the regular emails, do the archive ones get deleted too, or are those saved?
No, then you'll do those.
Oh, you got to do those separate
too,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to.
Why don't you just archive them after every 30 minutes? Now I know every 30 days. I know that our intelligent listeners, smarter than you or me, are going to tell you how to do it.
Well, they have before,
That's pretty
and
good.
I haven't listened to it.
I was so I was
impressed?
so proud that I had 22,000 emails that I hadn't read. You know, many of them are press releases.
Yeah, sure.
And some of them are like really, really angry emails.
Well, sure.
About me.
We get those.
Me personally, and they're harsh, and now they're even angrier because I didn't respond. So I don't know. Yeah, well, you got to be careful because if you anger the wrong person, you don't know what they might be capable of. I know. You know what I'm saying? I do. Are you let's get caught up on a couple things before we get to last night. Yes, sir. Would you classify yourself as a potato cake fan? The Arby's potato cake, which we've become on this show fascinated with. It was my favorite college meal back in the day, where you got $4 to get you to the following week. Literally, and it's Sunday night, so there's no dorm food on Sunday night, and you're hungry, and you got $4 left, and you say, I want dinner. My dinner of choice, in all honesty, would be Arby's hot ham and cheese is what it used to be called there, and one order of potato cakes. That was it. And I to this day, there's no more satisfying meal in my whole life, because then it tastes good. You don't have a lot of money. It's not expensive. And the potato cake was an important part of that for me. Sure. Now, the Arby's potato cake went away for a long time. They brought it back on a special. Then they left it again. And now they've announced, as of, I think, earlier this week, it's back. They claim this time for good. Are you as fascinated with the potato cake as we are on this show? Well, I'm fascinated with the discussion. I must say that. I really am. I mean, this is about as culturally aware, there's no question, as I've heard from this you in a long time. Yeah. So, I'm embarrassed to admit that I'm not really a fast food guy. Okay. If there was look down on the rest of us. No, that's fine. I love it. Oh, okay. Love it. All right. No, I love it. All right. When I was in college, $4 for Arby's would be a royal feast.
So what you're saying is grow up.
No, that would be 12 ramen noodles. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. That's what we did. Or a bag of mushrooms. You're not that. Wait. Pat Kessler ahead of his time. Whoa.
Power Trip's going to love that one.
No.
A bag of mushrooms, you say.
So you just go and buy a bag of mushrooms. And then you don't worry about eating. No, what you do.
You're no longer hungry.
No, you just fry them up. Yeah. I'm not going to say I was poorer than you, because I'm sure I wasn't. But no, I mean, we just had to spread it a little bit farther, and chicken noodle soup cans and eat it right out of the soup can, that kind of stuff. Nothing wrong with that. But no, I have them, love Arby's. Every once in a while, back in the day, we'd get a McDonald's hamburger, but, awesome. Great childhood memories, too, from McDonald's. Somebody asked me, Dan, do you just raw dog the potato cake, or do you dip it in ketchup or ranch? No, I do raw dog it. Yeah, I don't need any. But I'm not a big sauce guy in general. Like, I don't. If for chicken tenders, most people, they got to have something. They got to have some kind of sauce or some ketchup or whatever. If I like the tender enough, then I want the flavor of the tender. I don't want exquisite. Yes, flavor, succulent. I don't want anything to get in the way with now. Here's my exception. Chick-fil-A, they're even whether it's their chicken sandwich or they have chicken tenders, they got the chicken nuggets, I guess, whatever they're called. I don't know what they have a different name for them. They have a red sauce. What the hell is it? Polynesian is the one sauce that I am obsessed with. You make an exception. I make the exception in the meal for the Chick-fil-A Polynesian sauce, yes. Yeah, that is, that's very interesting. When you get some fries, if you ever do raw dog the fries? Yes, except for the Polynesian sauce. Okay. I use the Polynesian sauce on everything. Fair enough. That's my one exception. But otherwise, I'm not going to do ketchup. No, I'm just going to eat the tenders or the nuggets or whatever it might be. What fascinates me most about this is how much value that added to your life. A great deal. In this way. So much so that you needed to extend the experience. I heard you talking about this, in which you would eat them in a certain order. That's correct. Yes. The Arby's first, and eat some of that, and then have a bite. Exactly. Move on. What I said was, I didn't want to get to like the second half of the hot ham and cheese sandwich with no potato cake left. So you have to exert some discipline where I'm kind of looking at, okay, I want it to basically be half and half. So if I'm halfway through the 2 potato cakes, then I got to be halfway through the sandwich. Otherwise, life's gonna feel out of balance.
It's a delayed gratification.
It is.
It's almost spiritual in some way.
In some ways, you might say.
But when you have one of those meals a week, maybe when you're in college, because that's your last $4.
That's it. Last
maybe
$4 for the week.
That's what you have to do. I mean, I understand.
All right. Most important, before we get to last night, where are you on the barn-dominium garage mahal discussion, which I came to find out via this Wall Street Journal story that apparently we're the center of the garage mahal universe. This story is based here in Chaney. It's an issue elsewhere, but it has a million tentacles to it and variables to it regarding, all right, well, whose business is it? You may not like the way it looks, but is it your business if somebody decides they're going to build a garage mahal? On the other hand, often there are zoning rules that come into effect. So where are you? If you have the means, obviously. If you had you've got, I don't know how many homes you guys have, 2 or 3, but if you added a 4th, and there was room for a garage mahal to add to it where you could bring all of your, because we know you're a car, like Jay Leno, you're a car collector. Mm-hmm. So what do you have an opinion on the garage mahal concept?
I'm really kind of a NIMBY guy on this.
Right.
So not in my backyard.
Okay.
I kind of don't want that towering over me. I'm a city guy, live in the city.
Yes.
Lived in the same house for many, many years. And
until you moved to Hamel,
or where else was?
What was the other spot you were going to go to?
There's another one. Yeah,
it wasn't just. I thought it was Hamel was one of them. But there was another
our
one,
listeners will remind me where I'm moving soon. Someday.
Very soon. Yeah.
So no, I don't want that towering over me. In the city, we have a problem with tear downs, for example.
Yes.
So you've got a lot of smaller homes, and then the
McMansion concept. Yes.
Homes built next to them. I'm not saying that that's what this is,
right?
But but I would not want it near my home, so that it was blocking the aurora borealis at night. On the other hand, in my rural home, one of my several homes, my weekend home, lake home, I see some of these out there, and they're fine. I was very interested to hear the discussion of what's a pole barn and what is a structure.
Had no idea.
That's really important.
Yeah.
So if you have a cement block foundation, which you have to build a garage, for example, in the city, that's a little bit different than a pole barn, which can get blown over in a tornado. So, I see a lot of these.
Depends on where.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's out where it's not really bothering some people.
That's the issue.
I see these storage units now in small town Wisconsin and in small town Minnesota.
Yes.
Which people are storing their boats, their RV. They're huge. And they're almost like storage parks.
Right.
But I see people out there in lawn chairs drinking beer and smoking cigars.
Are you ever invited?
Love to.
You'd love to hang. You'd love to join them. You would do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would. Right. So NIMBY for me.
Okay, that's fair. I'm going to read you 2 passages here. One of them is from you, from the notes that you sent for me as you do every week, and the other is from a guy. I think he used to be an editor at the New York Times. He's kind of a curmudgeonly guy who I've come to follow. His name's John Riley. And I was struck by how similar his analysis of last night was with yours. I'll read him first. I watched it all. Thought Trump's speech was misleading in parts, but overall highly effective political messaging. Democrats were awful, an embarrassment. They were full partners in making it divisive, or do you say divisive? In addition, though, he adds, my pet peeve was the storytelling about Social Security. The 300-year-olds are a record-keeping glitch, but they don't get money. Meanwhile, system shortfalls will force benefit cuts in 10 years, and our president offers not a word about solving that developing crisis for millions of Americans. Here's what you wrote. President addressed the nation. I watched so you didn't have to. Embarrassing, disruptive, off-putting. And that's just the Democrats. Couldn't even applaud the wife of the returned hostage. Come on, man. Democratic Congressman heckles Trump, won't stop, removed from chamber. Trump spoke for an hour, 29 minutes, a record packed with jaw-dropping falsehoods and Trump taunting Dems. But who cares anymore? Having said all that, President Trump is the clear winner, creating multiple emotional viral moments to his followers. He projected strength, got modestly positive poll numbers. That's the part of the analysis where you and Riley seem to be in complete agreement. Now, having said all that or quoted that, either way you go, whether you confirm those words or you run from them, understand that you're going to get ripped via the Bradshaw and Bryan KFAN text line at 64666. So have at it. It's up to you.
Here's what's going on. We talk about the record length of the speech. And now I said an hour and 29 minutes. It was actually an hour and 39 minutes. Okay. It's crazy how long these go.
Is that the longest yet?
Well, this is almost like a Cuban President Castro.
Fidel Castro filibustering forever.
And
everybody falling asleep. But knowing that they can't stay asleep because they take out and go, they might get shot.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is the longest since Bill Clinton in I'm going to say sometime in the 1990s. And that was about an hour and 19 minutes. And everybody talked about how Clinton was the communicator in chief and could explain stuff and was inspiring.
Right.
I thought he was a good communicator, but I never found him inspiring, so to speak, or something that would hold my attention for an hour and 20 minutes.
He was probably the most effective in that regard one-on-one, right? The old, I feel your pain in a smaller group.
Yeah, and put his hand on your shoulder.
As opposed to being a great speech maker.
Yeah, but he gave all sorts of speeches. Obama gave stem-winders, but let's talk about how long it was. Trump gave a speech for an hour and 40 minutes, and although he was dropping all sorts of lies, falsehoods, twists, and he also was delivering, as I say, these viral moments. And the reason I was glued to this speech is because I don't know what's going to happen next. This is one of the most consequential presidents, if not the most consequential president of our lifetime. You don't have to like what he's doing, and half the country does not. But when he's giving these speeches, you don't know what's going to happen. And some people are caught up in the fever. You don't know what he's going to say. Who's he going to insult next? For whatever reason, it's not the high oratory of Abraham Lincoln, but he's effective getting across what he wants to get across. So that's how I felt coming out of this last night. Did he reach across the aisle to bring people in and speak for all Americans and I'm the president for all of you? No! What are you, nuts? Absolutely not. He didn't do that. And Democrats, I think, just don't know what to do about that. They have no idea.
Yeah, I talked about this yesterday. There was a lot of anticipation for, what would the Democratic strategy be? And in fact, they had apparently a lot of meetings. What are we going to do? We just going to sit there? Are we not going to show up? Are we going to show up with these stupid signs? Or are we going to start heckling, or what are we going to do? And I think whatever, I don't know how much of it was a group strategy or not, but I thought what they did do was awful. As you described, I don't think it was very effective. I don't even know what the right answer is, but what they tried, I didn't think was very helpful. Let me read you a cross-section of some texts that have come in across the board here with very different, conclusions drawn about last night.
Sure.
Mr. Kessler, I counted 32 lies by Trump last night in the first 20 minutes. Has it always been this bad in politics? Why is this allowed? I'm a Republican, by the way, and I am ashamed and embarrassed. 952 guy writes, I may not see eye to eye with you two, Dan and Pat, on many issues, but I've always respected the way you call it, like it is no matter what side of the aisle. I thought the Democrats' behavior last night was despicable. Refusing to stand up for a 13-year-old battling brain cancer was just the cherry on top. Curious to hear your thoughts. And lastly, let me get to one more text. This one is described as tongue firmly in cheek. Overall, the Kessler Great Kess segment is one of my favorites, certainly one of your top 10. In all seriousness, though, Kessler responding to Doge firing thousands of workers in the federal government last week is interesting. It's a little embarrassing. I'm not a lefty, but siding with Russia, dismantling the federal government, and pissing off our greatest allies needs a little bit more serious dialogue, don't you think? I know it's scary stepping out onto the limb, but come on. Silent majority is searching for reasonable and rational people to speak up. I would say on that last one, that was one moment in what I think was, he says his is tongue-in-cheek. I think you're describing it as interesting last week is also intended to be, to a certain extent, tongue-in-cheek. And we did go a little bit deeper than that. But I guess this shows you the differences of opinion across the board. And as you know, I think the poll numbers are favorable overall in terms of the reaction, right?
Well, yes and no. Who doesn't want to find waste and fraud if it exists and then get rid of it?
Yes.
That's not what's happening here. People are going in there with a sledgehammer, with a wrecking ball, firing and laying off people. Tens of thousands. We get word today that the 80,000 people in the Veterans Affairs Department are going to be laid off. Veterans, 30% of the federal workforce is veterans. These are going to start to affect a lot of the people who supported Donald Trump. I can't remember exactly what position I took last week, but I'll take a different one tonight.
Just take a different one. Yeah, that's fine.
So
that's
I'll just
easy.
say, this is something that really startled me last night, where the president, irony is dead. So the president last night says, no more unelected bureaucrats. Camera cuts to Elon Musk. Thank you. Thank you. He's waving to the crowd and bowing. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Who is this guy? He's not
an unelected bureaucrat.
He's
the definition of exactly that.
I do want to talk about something that I think is very important from the first listener. There were however many lies, 32 lies in 30 minutes, and that's absolutely true. And these are beyond, everybody spins and twists, the politicians, they try to present information in the most favorable light. I get it. Sometimes the spin is misinformation a little bit. But we are in an entirely new reality now. We're in the reality of disinformation, where stuff is either made up and out of whole cloth, saying things that are not true, even though they've been debunked, doubling, tripling down on a lot of falsehoods, lies, and misinformation. And nobody cares. They rush to support President Trump anyway, even though much of the stuff that he is saying is inaccurate, false, and completely untethered from reality. Just that. Second person on the Democratic response and how they were acting last night, and the brain cancer kid just killed me. Where they can't stand up and applaud this. You should be able to do that. When the president walked in, it's a celebratory event when the president speaks to Congress normally, walking down the middle aisle and people are clapping and cheering. Democrats turned their backs to him and did not even acknowledge him. And they were holding signs, and a couple of the Republicans ripped the signs out of their hands. So I just thought it was beneath the dignity, not just of the event, but of the presidency, of the Congress, and of the United States. I thought on all sides, it just didn't live up to what it's supposed to be.
All right, let's get a pause in. I've got a couple more texts to get to. We have other subjects that we definitely need to explore, including the possibility that the Zelensky deal, that the Ukraine deal is actually behind the scenes being put back together. But if it is put back together, what the hell is it exactly? Is it just a series of concessions that, in the name of we're gonna get peace, but at what price? I think that's one of the key questions here as well. A Special K Part 2. We'll get to some stuff within the great state of Minnesota as well. Keep the texts coming. And we'll continue with Special K in just a minute.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com.
Got it.
Step 2, collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3, play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4, unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
It's another Wild Wednesday right here on The Fan, presented by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the Minnesota Wild, and we've got your tickets to the game. Caller 11 right now. Win a pair of tickets to see the Wild take on the Colorado Avalanche on the 11th. 1-800-320-5326. That's 1-800-320-5326. Wild Wednesdays on The Fan.
Pat Kessler is back with us. Segment number 2. Let's briefly discuss the Zelensky fallout after the Oval Office mess last week. It sounds like Zelensky, well, the president referred to a note he claims he got from Zelensky basically falling on the sword. You know, we appreciate all your effort. We're ready to sign. I'm ready to put my John Hancock on the minerals deal. And then it's the next step. And we're going to get, we believe in peace and we're going to get this thing done. He left out all the asterisks, which are pretty important, regarding the fact that the partner here has, already violated the terms of so many other deals before, or not deals necessarily, but pauses in the action and so forth. So at the end of the day, where is this headed? Is it headed to a place where Zelensky is going to feel boxed in? Or is there any reason to believe that when the president sits down with your guy Putin, that there will be, even if he's not willing to do it publicly, because he hasn't at all, that privately he'll push back on Putin in a way that does not feel like as if that we are basically giving away the farm in order to proclaim we have peace in our time. But as Winston Churchill would say, at what price?
This is very interesting because Trump is very transactional. I think it's great news that they're getting this thing back on track. We've talked about this for months, that President Trump said that he was going to be able to get a deal within 24 hours. It'll be easy. We know that's not true. This is a very difficult situation. I give the president credit for getting this thing moving anyway. I don't think that he was, I think he was very, very serious after that dust up in the White House on Friday, in which he got ganged up on, Zelensky got ganged up on by Trump and J.D. Vance. Let's fast forward to the present. It sounds like he called to the president. Zelensky called what happened in the White House regrettable, but I think that's about as close to an apology that he's going to give. But we're not getting apologies from our leaders, and it's very controversial. Should they apologize? I think the whole thing was a you-know-what show, and somebody should have stood up. Zelensky could have stepped back. The president and J.D. Vance absolutely could have stopped this from happening. And what about our Secretary of State, our
little Marco?
Ooh, wow.
Well, he's going to be that again.
You
if
mean
it
our
turns.
chief diplomat in the United States?
Right.
Just sitting on the sofa, not engaging, looking like Homer Simpson walking backwards into the bushes.
At least he wore a suit.
What is that about? And they get on him for wearing a suit. He gets out of the limo that he got at the White House, and the president greets him and says, "Hey, I see you got all dressed up." I will say that's probably something I would say,
tongue in cheek.
Yes. But then he gets asked a question.
By who?
By Brian Glenn of the conservative news outlet. We talked last week about the new press pool. The president is now selecting. The White House is selecting who the reporters are.
You got a million questions, and your question's going to be about a suit.
Eliminated the Associated Press and Reuters from that press pool and put in Breitbart, and
I don't remember the name of the organization.
ROA, I can't remember. So this dude says, hey, you don't have a suit? What, you don't own a suit? Why didn't you wear a suit?
Like it's a stand-up routine.
And that became a big thing. And now Brian Glenn is dating your gal.
Correct.
I know you're jealous.
I know I can see her. I don't remember her name.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. So, what are we doing?
More importantly, if that reporter, if you want to call him a reporter.
He's a reporter.
Looked to his right as he asked the question, he would find a bust of Winston Churchill, who spent incredible amount of time, almost to the point of annoyance from Eleanor Roosevelt, at the White House during World War II. He never wore a suit. He wore his own version of whatever. Sometimes he just came out in a muumuu, for God's sake. He was Winston Churchill.
Sometimes he didn't have
and
clothes
sometimes
on.
he may not have any clothes on. So the idea that we're actually getting hung up over a guy who's in the middle of a war.
I have one question.
So stupid.
Have you seen what Elon Musk wears in the Oval Office?
A coat. He has a coat
and
on.
a T-shirt and a MAGA hat and
a
whatever.
chainsaw.
But, this is all far afield.
Yes, it is.
Good news
well, it
today.
is and it isn't. Yeah.
Well, you're absolutely right, because the White House still is irked by the suit thing, quote unquote, supposedly. We don't know. But it sounds like this is back on track. Behind the scenes, people at the White House are doing some work to try to put this back together. But in the last hour, President Macron of France gave a speech to Europe in which he says, we will not accept a deal where Russia takes the territory. We will not. There are so many things, the security guarantees that Zelensky is asking for. You're not just going to let Russia take it all, let Putin have everything he took when he invaded and the Crimea that he took when Obama was president. You're going to let him keep it all? It sounds like that's the direction that it's going. We don't know that, but all of this is very, very troublesome.
Are the tariffs on Canada and Mexico on or off? Where are we on the tariffs?
This is a question that I heard somebody pose today. If you don't like President Trump's tariffs,
wait a day.
It's like Minnesota weather.
Yeah.
Just wait a day. Well, here's what's happening. He imposed the tariffs on our closest friends, the Canadians, also the Mexicans. He imposed tariffs on here. And it's going to be really, really difficult for a lot of people in Minnesota, including Minnesota farmers. But during the last few hours, he has once again suspended the tariffs for the car makers, the car manufacturers, the American car companies, where they would get a tariff every time it crossed the border. We have the North American Trade Agreement that Donald Trump negotiated. It allows cars to go to Mexico for parts, go into Canada for parts, go back and forth across borders 8 times. And every time they would be tariffed under the president's plan, adding about $3,000 to a regular car. Now it's going to be put off for about a month while they try to figure out something else. So the car manufacturers in the United States are breathing a little more easy. But tequila from Mexico, who's the dude in Chaney? He's got a tequila bar in his garage.
Yeah, he's quoted heavily in the story.
I didn't. That's awesome. I'd go there.
You're excited about the tequila bar,
but I think he'd be concerned because the tariffs,
lot like the Ski-U-Mah lot, basically.
Well, yeah, with a roof.
The roof. That's true. That's a good point. You're right. Yeah.
And so yeah, but so it's tequila, it's beer, it's avocados, it's fruits and vegetables. Target's going to raise its prices this week. Yeah, this is really chaotic. Many people would say dysfunctional. Maybe there is a purpose, and the president has something in mind that he wants, and let's all hope that it works.
Tim Walz is basically saying, hey, yeah, I'll run for president if no one else will step up and do what needs to be done. What is this all about?
And I think the response is, come on, Walzy. Really?
Come on, coach.
Come on, coach. Put me in, coach. Yeah, he's open to running for president. He told the New Yorker's David Remnick, great journalist, by the way. You should read David Remnick. He would consider the idea if he is asked. So he says that would be the voters, I'm guessing. But he said something that I thought was kind of interesting. He says, because I said, would you turn it down? Are you open to it? He says, well, you never turn down a job that you haven't been offered. So he hasn't been offered this job yet, but he says he's open to it. He also said that Joe Biden dropping out so late didn't affect it. The election. And today he's walking that back just a little bit. He was on CNN a couple of hours ago, and he says that he would maybe run for president. He didn't say he would, but he said he's available. He says he doesn't need to be on the ticket, but I do need to be a part of making sure we win. I'll do whatever it takes. So that's backing up just a little bit.
Well,
but Governor Walz has a better chance than, a dozen people in the Democratic Party. He was actually on the ticket, has a fundraising apparatus, has the cred, has the bona fides, and so he could do it. Question is how effective he'd be.
I don't think he'd have much of a chance myself, but this speaks to a larger issue. Because in one of the polls I saw, who did he run with this time? Harris. That she was leading all the candidates. And I'm looking at a story out of Bloomberg City of New York. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is leading Mayor Eric Adams and all other candidates by a wide margin in New York City's June Democratic mayoral primary race. Why, oh why, whether you're talking about locally, regionally, or nationally, do we seem to be such prisoners to the names we recognize over and over and over again? And part of the reason, we all complain about we need fresh blood, and but in all these polls, we always go with the names we know. We go, yeah, I remember him. Now, Cuomo, there might have been a couple of scandalous things. There might have been some harassment issues, but that was a while ago. And by the way, he was pretty effective in some other stuff, and enough time's gone by, let's bring him back. We constantly are prisoner to names that we recognize, are we not?
It's interesting, and equally as interesting to me is that we now elect people who 10 years ago, 15 years ago, would never even be considered
also
because
true.
of the personal stuff in their lives
yes.
or whatever has happened. But when you contest every single thing as President Trump does, as Andrew Cuomo does, it makes it a lot different. There is a deep Democratic bench. Let's just stick with the Democrats right now. There is a deep Democratic bench. And if somebody would just step aside and allow a lot of these people to run, it might be a lot different situation. It really might. But people like John Fetterman, for example, not running for president, he is saying after last night's, I think you could say, public relations debacle by the Democrats. Can I read you what he said on?
Sure. In fact, it's very eerie because as you're saying that, here's what I'm looking at. Him talking about a Politico story. It's bizarre.
Why are you doom scrolling while I'm talking, though?
That's good. I should be paying attention to you, shouldn't I? Yeah, there you go. Look into my eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand.
Yes. Let me quote this because he puts out here, this is a Democratic senator from Pennsylvania, very prominent, very powerful in an important state. Here's what he says, quote, about the Democrats. A sad cavalcade of self-owns and unhinged petulance. It only makes Trump look more presidential and restrained. We're becoming the metaphorical car alarms that nobody pays attention to, and it may not be the winning message.
Yeah.
End quote.
There you go.
I mean, that kind of says it all.
It does. It says
it all.
Yeah.
And they're in the address last night holding up the little auction paddles with the things on. Stephen Colbert last night he says, I got one for you. He holds it up and it says, do something. So,
that's where we are.
We're early. We're 42 days in and look at us. Biden was invisible. You wouldn't see Biden for days, sometimes weeks. You see Trump every hour.
Every minute.
And it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. And I like transparency. I like to see the president out there.
But
you don't have to like what he's saying, but man, he is out there.
There's no question. On that note, we got to go. We'll see you at the Gopher game tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, maybe
Here we
not.
go.
Whatever.
Well, are you going to join me?
I might not. But I might watch.
On my elite seats?
I know your seats are second to none.
They're unbelievable.
They're very good seats.
All right.
Kessler, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock, Channel 4. Back to wrap things up next.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2, collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3, play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4, unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
It's brought to you by American Pressure.
I apologize to our good friends at American Pressure. We just cut some brand spanking new spots for that fine company that's become very closely associated with this show, which we appreciate. Very controversial show today in which we talked about barn dominiums, that concept apparently being big here in the great state of Minnesota and in the Twin Cities area. We may even be leading the way in that regard. We always like to think we're special. In addition, we did talk about the being right that the Wolves game was loser-proof, even though a lot of people were rooting against me and were getting anxious because it took the Wolves all of 3 quarters and into the fourth before they finally pulled away and took care of business against the 76ers. In addition, we had a great conversation with Mitch Lawrence on a number of NBA subjects. That was between 3:30 and 4, and then Kessler covering the waterfront on a lot of things. And before we go, how about one more time?
Tsunami potato cake!
I think it's the first time we've ever named a Snonami after a fast food item. But we feel very proud of doing so in this case, the Snonami. We think the last of the year, I'm guessing, because it's supposed to go back up to about 50 and 55 and 60 degrees. So the committee ultimately has a lot of good options. A lot of good suggestions came in this morning. But we went with Tsunami Potato Cake after celebrating yesterday the news from Arby's that they are bringing the potato cake back, they claim now, for good. A major victory for those of us who've, over the years, lobbied for the continued return of a very underrated fast food item. In fact, I'm going to try to get some potato cakes it's no later than this weekend. Tomorrow, we think, is the return of Guardsy because the Golden Gopher women's basketball team was eliminated today from Big Ten basketball tournament action. If he is back, I'm guessing we will open the inbox. Dr. Dan's inbox, I hope, will be opened tomorrow, and a number of other things that we are working on, including Ben Gessling, Lavelle, before this week is indeed done, and even a couple of other ideas up our sleeve. So tonight, what do we have tonight? Fan on Demand on the air?
Fan on Demand.
And then No Wild tonight. Wolves on the Wolves channel.
Right now, actually.
Right now. Okay,
yes.
They've already started against the Charlotte Hornets. They have the built-in excuses. They didn't get in till 4 a.m.
That's right.
It's the second game of a back-to-back, and Charlotte's not very good. But the excuse has been handed. It's our 5th game in our 5th different time zone in 7 days. We're supposed to get all excited about that, which, of course, is silly because we all know how the travel goes for NBA teams these days. It is literally first class across the board. They don't have to touch anything. Everything is taken care of for them. Food is gourmet. Middle seats don't exist in their world. They get their own sections on planes. And they don't have to settle. They don't have to even look at or talk to the peasants out there, the rest of us. So just tonight is another example of take care of business. I don't think Rudy is scheduled to play. I think everybody else, including Anthony Edwards, had some kind of finger or thumb deal last night.
Conley, load management.
And that's right. Good reminder. Conley is out for load management purposes. Will we see more of Dilly tonight, or will we just see a heavier dose of Dante DiVincenzo? That's the question. Dilly's kind of been in the coach's doghouse. We'll see how that goes this evening as well. We thank you very much for listening. We thank you for watching. And we will talk to you tomorrow beginning at 3.
I'll be there whenever you
Dude, we were buddies.
I'll be there whenever you need me. I'll be there.
Hippie counterculture.
lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hey, I'm Don Wildman, and on American History Hit, my expert guests and I journey across the nation and through the years to uncover the stories that have made the United States. From first flight to first ladies, from stitching the Star-Spangled Banner to striking gold in California to shooting for the moon with Apollo, we've got you covered. Catch new episodes of American History Hit, a podcast by History Hit, every Monday and Thursday wherever you get your podcasts.